All right, all right, all right. Yes, good people. My name is Kendra Crump, aka the HNIC. I am the head nigga in charge. And before we start, I need y'all to please subscribe to my channel, okay? Because I'm tired of having people who just want to sit here and write comments in my comment section and not subscribe. Okay, this is good stuff. All right, I need you to subscribe. But you know what? With all that being said, I always bring special guests on. I always bring people who have some type of substance and purpose and value to the life. Okay, so if you ever wonder why you never made it on the Kendra Crump show, there's your answer. Back to the story. So this next particular person, she is a woman who is, number one, very classy. She has very studious, meticulous. She looks like she's 15 years old. I said, how old is this woman? Oh my gosh, I'm trying to be like her. But you know what that's called? It's called minding your business. All right. And she has a doctorate in that. Okay. We're going to call her Dr. Garner all, interview long. I just want to say that. Okay. But she was the winner of BET's Grand Hustle. And when I remember I was watching this show and I was like, man, I want to meet her. It was a few people on that show where I was like, I actually just want to just shoot the breeze with them, drink a 40 with them. But she was one of the people. I said, okay, she's dope. And then she played basketball. I think she was like the LA Sparks head coach at one point. All right. And then she was also in street fights with Tupac. Okay. But dig a little bit deeper than that. She is the GM of Trap Music Museum. Also, of course, the organization of Black Women Don't Cheat. She's like the founder of that. Okay. A member of Alpha Kappa Alpha, like kind of made me want to join a sorority, but I just, I was lazy. Philanthropist and she was, on tour. She, with Freddie Jackson and everybody else. She taught Allen Iverson how to do a 5 crossover. Okay. So we're going to we're going to bring Miss Krystal Garner, aka KG, aka she has perfected faux locks, like everything. Like, let's bring her on. How you doing today?
Oh man, did yourself, Kendra. I'm excited to be here.
See guys, listen, let me tell you something. I have literally, I've been trying to, this woman is so booked and busy and she's so productive with her work. I didn't know if this interview was going to come. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. I've been trying to scout her out. And so I was so happy that we got a chance to, do this little sit down. We're somewhere in a secret location. I think we're on an island, a nice island that's like 85 degrees right now. We're not going to tell you where, but we out here. Okay. But first off, thank you so much, for even, being able to sit down with me. Cause I know sometimes when you do have opportunities present themselves for people to try to interview you, it might not always go through. But also I think it's because when you go after your dreams, and one thing I know that's so good about God is that when he sees you trying, he's going to help you go along the way. As long as he sees you trying. And I know for a fact there have been times where you were trying and you're like, God, are you listening? Are you out there? Are you, helping me? And felt like God sent your prayer to spam, but he's like, nope, I have something better for you. And speaking of God, and I know you do have a good, a great relationship with him. I feel like you do because your energy is just so radiating and amazing. Go ahead. If you can just tell the listeners, when did you first realize for yourself that God was real?
Wow. One, he's super powerful. And it's always about making sure that you have a strong foundation. And I'm just grateful that I was able to get that foundation at such a young age. I remember I was probably around 7, 8 years old, walking down the block, and a woman stopped me, Miss Mims, I believe that was her name. And she stopped me and she said, hey, do you go to church? Do you want to come to church? You should stop by sometimes, Lighthouse Tabernacle. And I'm like, okay, sure, why not? But I'm, walking down my shady neighborhood, shady block, grew up in the hood, and I could see from the side window where I live, the church. And I never had anyone stop me until that day. So I said, okay, well, maybe there's a reason I was stopped. And I'm glad I had that foresight, because I went into church and I went on my own. You know, a lot of people grow up in church, their family's been going to church. It was just on my own decision to go into the house of the Lord. And when I went in there, I saw the opposite of what my environment was. I saw powerful Black women. I saw healthy relationships. I saw people that weren't, you know, addicted to drugs or, you know, a negative product of their environment. I saw people that were of my neighborhood that I didn't even know existed, because they had these opportunities for going after their dreams and going after their goals. They had that mindset to get what they could out of their neighborhood, to build that strength in them and that structure, but to also to be a positive reflection of their neighborhood. And I didn't know that existed until that moment. And for me, I believe that that's the moment I realized that God is real, because I've walked down that block so many times. And a lot of times, you know, when you see people going out doing missionary work, they're talking to older people, and their goal is, you know, to convince them to come into church. And that's fine, you know, whatever their message is, fine. But not often do you see them talking to children. And I'm like, what made that older lady that day stop an 8-year-old walking down the block and invite her to church? You know, and I look at it to this day, like, was there a person there? You know, was that just an angel God sit down to just say, hey, you know, you need to see something different for your life, and not what you've only seen in your environment and in your schooling. Because, you know, when you live in certain neighborhoods, a lot of opportunities aren't afforded to you. So that moment is when I realized God was real, because it flipped my whole vision. It made me realize that there was things that I've never seen before that I could actually achieve. And I'm grateful for that moment, because that foundation is the reason I'm able to be who I am today.
That's real. That's actually real. And once you did get a chance to go to the church and you felt the power and everything else, did you actually invite your family there, or was this something that you just did solo every week?
Of course, I'm the person that always wants to reflect. So after going to church for a couple of weeks and starting to get really engulfed in it, in my neighborhood, I would start actually preaching to the other kids in the neighborhood. Like, we would be on a porch, and I would just, you know, act as if I was the pastor and was telling them all the good information that I found out. Of course, I've invited my family. I remember when I moved to another neighborhood, another not so good neighborhood in Staten Island, I remember, you know, getting my mom to come through and just seeing what it was that church was doing for me, and being in that space. Like, she could see it, she saw the change in me, but being in the actual space and feeling it. And my sister as well. And then eventually it came to a point my sister got her own church that she was going to. So, you know, for that faith part, I truly believe that I was that beacon of light for my family, for them to eventually, you know, start going into it. Because it went from me being outside playing double dutch and running around and chasing little boys, you know, to me joining programs and going on church trips and singing in a choir and preaching every Sunday. It just transformed who I was as a person. So I guess, you know, it was a moment where my family was like, well, what is this place that's making you so happy? You know, just very happy. We aren't living in the best of situations. There's stuff happening every day. You know, families go through things, but why are you always so happy? And it was just knowing that on Saturdays I was at choir rehearsal, on Sundays I was in church, and during the week we had guest sermons where we would have to be a traveling choir because, you know, people wanted to hear the youth choir sing. So, yeah.
That's really profound and very powerful. You mentioned your sister. How many siblings did you have, like, all together, like, even like living in the house? Like, you know, you just said we went from this place to this place, you know, growing up in the hood and stuff. How many siblings all together, and where did you actually come in? Like, how did you feel? Like, were you like the loner? Were you the, you know, the fun child? Like, everybody's like, oh, you know, I just want to be around Krystal, or how did you place yourself into your family?
Absolutely. So as far as living together as siblings, I'm my older sister, and she's the comedian. She was the actor, super funny, just super personality. She was the first child. I'm the middle child. I was born 7 years after her. And my little brother, the baby in the household. So, of course, he was, a little spoiled and got all the attention. And me, middle child syndrome. Always wanted to be the attention, but wasn't, because there was someone younger than me. And then the older one, super cool. And then she had my niece when she was about 19, 20. So then it's like she's the one that brought in the grandbaby.
Gotcha.
So I was that person. But I also have an older sister from my father, and then I have a few step siblings. But in my household, I grew up with my older sister, my little brother, and I definitely was the middle child. And I'm a Sagittarius, so I was always extra, and always doing the most, but always wanting, people to recognize the most that I was doing. It was just always wanting that attention. And it's like double whammy, because middle child plus Sagittarius, that's just like, you want all the attention. But, that's a blessing, because if I didn't want the attention, I probably wouldn't have gone and done the things that I've done. I wouldn't have been more than just someone that went to school. I was someone that went to school, that joined activities, that sports. I did so much. So I'm grateful for the fact that I was a middle child.
Got you. Okay. Well, that's cool that you actually got all those, the different siblings, and everything else. So I'm pretty sure during certain holidays, like parties at your house or the parties at different people's places and everything else, like family, like the holidays are always, I know for a fact, fun for you. Definitely.
True. Holidays, man, I really want to I wish we had a flood, so I don't really have anything, but there was so many videos, VHSs, if anybody knows what that is, with me dancing around and trying to entertain, always being like on the center stage.
Well, you know what? Maybe if you're able to find them, definitely you got to post like a quick little video. Maybe you could do something on TikTok and then post it on your Instagram. Say, me at age 10 or something like that. Like do a little throwback. Might as well, see like just the whole character and everything. So, all right. So originally from New York, what cities were you living in? Because you mentioned Staten Island. So what other cities were you living in or growing up in or spent most of your youth in?
Yeah, Brooklyn for my childhood. My dad was from Brooklyn. So I would go there. I would see my nana, see my cousins, family that I had out there. But, a lot of times people aren't really your family, which I'm finding out in my later years. It's like, oh, that was just a friend of the family, so they were your cousins. I'm like, that's not my cousin.
Got you.
And then in my teenage years, I spent a lot of time in Harlem. I went to high school in Manhattan, and most of my friends either lived in Harlem or the Bronx. So I was mostly in Harlem. I claim Harlem because that was my formative years, and all my friends are out there. And I used to carry a sparkly duffel bag and just crash at everybody's place instead of going back to Staten Island.
Of course. And I know you know how to do a good Harlem Shake, right? Like that was always okay. All right then, go ahead now.
Shaking on the lunch table, toe whopping on the lunch table, and then like my college years, I stayed on campus in Long Island, so I've been around New York a little bit.
Okay, all right. And anytime somebody says Brooklyn, the first thing I think about is Coney Island, right? And so one of my favorite basketball films is like a top 3 because I played basketball as well. That means if you want to get dunked on, and I'm mind you, I'm 5'6", and I know you taller than me, but I'm pretty sure I can dunk on you. Okay, but I love He Got Game. So my question to you is, because I feel like you're, are you an 80s baby or a 90s baby?
80s baby.
Okay, so did you get a chance to, when He Got Game came out in 98, late 90s, did you get a chance to go to an auditioning to be like in the I forgot what your extra like you know what I'm trying to say, like yes, you know what I'm trying to say.
No, and I wish at that time I wasn't old enough, but I just remember watching it, and I remember like watching it and being like, wow, Coney Island, like that's somewhere we go. We just go, and it's not something that people widely talk about. People talk about Disney World and Six Flags and all that type of stuff. And to see a movie featuring an amusement park that we just went to like on a sunny day in New York was like kind of cool. And I played basketball. That movie was it was really dope. I thoroughly enjoyed He Got Game. But I do remember, I don't know if I actually made the cut. I remember when 50 Cent did Get Rich or Die Trying, I was old enough. And I definitely was an extra walking up the street. Now, what scene where, I don't know, and I couldn't even remember. And I watched the movie a few times, and I'm like, dang, I probably could. And I don't pay attention enough to, like, what was I wearing that day? Where am I in this scene, you know? But, you know, anytime New York had a movie and had an opportunity for Black creatives to be a part, you know, you try to be a part. And as soon as I was able to do that without having to have, like, a child work permit or anything, or my parents being there, was Get Rich or Die Trying.
Got it. Okay, well, y'all, I guess that means we gotta go see the movie. See if we see somebody like who Ollie looks exactly like. Okay, shoot, we can point you out now. When did you actually start playing basketball, and who taught you?
Started playing basketball when I was probably, we moved from by where the church was, moved to a different block in the neighborhood, what they later named B Block. Very interesting. When I moved there, I was in which school? I was in middle school. So middle school is when I started playing basketball. I went up to the park. My sister had this boyfriend who she's still with to this day. The father of my 3 beautiful nieces. He played basketball, and I would go to the park, and he'll be up there. And then I was tall, and I just got interested. I just got interested in basketball, and I just grabbed the ball and just started dribbling it. But I think the main interest in me deciding that I wanted to play, outside of just going to the park and being there, and that's where everybody hung out, I was in an after-school program for a little bit. Like, my mom was working, and she was like, we're going to get you in this after-school program. And it was called Goodyear, and they had the opportunity, you know, to play sports or jump double dutch or do cooking. And I was like, well, since I had like a little bite from playing in the park, I wanted to play basketball. And I was like one of the only girls that wanted to play basketball. Mind you, I'm like a girly girl in the sense of like, I always wore like sandals and shoes. I didn't wear sneakers. Like, I was just not what you expected to see play basketball. And they had a program, and I got to play in it and learn a little bit of the fundamentals. But the moment that sold me was when they took us to Madison Square Garden. You know how they have kids playing at the halftime?
Yeah, yeah.
I was one of those kids, and I got to play halftime, and I got to meet John Starks and Patrick Ewing, and they were just so tall. I felt like Space Jam with the Monstars, like when you just look up and you're like, whoa. Like,
yeah.
That's how they were to me. And they like shook all our hands. I mean, this is pre-COVID, guys. They shook all our hands. And it was just like the most amazing experience. And I was just like one of the only females there. And I was just like, man, I want to do this when I grow up. Like, it was just so cool, the experience. I fell in love with basketball at Madison Square Garden during halftime. And I've never gave up on it since. Like, I've never said I'll never touch a basketball game. Like, basketball is, every day I think about basketball. Every day. Got it.
So, do you remember that very first day? Like, you say your sister's boyfriend. It's always that moment, because when my father taught me the game, I remember the day I finally beat my dad. But you got to realize, my dad's 50 years older than me. So I don't think it really was fair to, to how I just beat him. But the day that you actually had beat him, was that like a monumental moment when you did beat him?
Absolutely. Because he was so tall. Like, he's like 6'5". And I was always so little, but still tall for a female. When I played high school basketball, I was automatically thrown in the post, and he had to teach me like post moves, because playing in the park with guys, they never let you, I didn't even know what a post player was. They literally just make you bring up the ball and shoot. Like, you don't play with your back to the basket. So I had to learn a whole different game. But when I learned a different game and played him and beat him, for once, he's a stellar guy for this, because any other guy that I beat be like, I let you win. But he's like, no, she beat me. Like, it was just, he will tell you. Like, most men won't. He'll say, nah, she beat me. And it was like a proud moment for me, because I didn't expect it to happen. Like, and then when it did, I expected him to be like, well, I let you win, or, I got hard on you, or that stuff. But no, it was he really played me, and I beat him, and I won fair and square, and he'll tell that to this day. So I admire him for that.
Good. You know, I like that guy. I like him because you're right. Guys be like, oh, no, I'll let you. And I'm like, no, you were sweating hard trying to take the ball and everything like that. Give me all right, excluding yourself, MJ, Kobe, and LeBron, give me your top 5 favorite basketball players in no particular order.
Wait, who you said to take out?
Exclude yourself, MJ, Kobe, and LeBron because that's always everybody's top, you know.
Oh, okay, good, because that wasn't going that way. Okay, so cool. Lisa Leslie, of course.
One.
I'm gonna go with how do you say her name? Cambridge. She plays now for Las Vegas. She's amazing. Candace Parker.
Okay.
We're gonna go with Carmelo Anthony, the love of my life. If he ever, wants to date just a regular girl, holla at me.
That's it, Carmelo. Carmelo, he listens to this show. So, Carmelo, make sure you holler at her, okay? She has a lot to offer now, okay?
Oh, just saying. And I would say, last but not least, we share the same initials. I've worn their jersey number a few times, 21.
Kevin Garnett?
Kevin Garnett.
And have you got a chance to meet any of your top 5?
Cambridge, and that's how I ended up, she's even in my top 5. I actually just watched a video of her beautiful ballers, like, posting some guy up and, like, embarrassing him. And he was like, why you doing like that? But I met her at the Nike store when I was doing an activation there in Soho, New York. She was super sweet. And then I would say the only other person I met was Carmelo Anthony. And it's sad the way I met him. I went to go to his book signing, and I came straight from a basketball practice. So I had on my little practice jersey. I looked super crazy. Now that I think about it, I was like, girl, what was you doing? You thought he was going to just fall in love with you because you had on basketball clothes. You look crazy.
Anything is possible, though. Anything is possible.
I had that hope of that straight love in basketball. But I walked up to him, and Lala was sitting there. But this is before they came out, that they were together.
Oh, this was like the early 2000s then.
Yeah. Okay. I was in high school still. I graduated high school in 04. So I was in high school. I go there. I have the book. I still have the book. I actually still have it signed in my room right now. And he signs it. And I'm looking at her like, why is she here? Like, I'm this little high school girl, like, why is she here? And I think I walked away and left, and I realized, I said, they better not be together. And then it came out like a couple weeks later, and I was just like, no, I should have went to Syracuse like I wanted. I should have figured out something.
It's okay. It's all right. Listen, all good things come to an end. He might, after what they got going on, he's gonna hit. He might. Let's speak what we want. Manifestation. He will hit you up. Okay.
I have a lot of respect for Lala. I see the grind that she's done over the years, and it's not easy to do entertainment. It's not easy to do radio. I've done radio in New York. It's not easy to do acting. I've done acting. I haven't been a mom yet and married, but it could, if I'm already saying it's a lot to do those two things, and she did all that while being married and a mom, I respect her. So I wish them all the best of luck. But, if ever, they just part ways as friends and they're still cool with each other, and she wants to find a stellar woman for him that she thinks will, add value and be a good, blended family like Will Smith and Jada and them.
Yeah.
Like, holla at me.
That's it. Or y'all could be a nice throuple. How about that? That's a new thing now, right? So, okay. You did basketball. What other activities, like, extracurricular activities did you do as well that you started when you were probably elementary, middle school, that you had some interest in?
Absolutely. Cross country was something I did in college. I just decided to add it on because I was good at it, and it was like my serenity because I was so busy in college. So it was like I get to run and nobody can talk to me during this time, and I don't have obligations to do work. I'm going to do this. But aside from that, a lot of sewing, a lot of sketching, a lot of designing. That was something I started doing at a very young age. My dad is an artist. He's very talented. My Nana was a seamstress. She used to make clothes and sell them at the flea markets in Brooklyn. So I had that skill in me always. I went to high school of fashion. So that was like my homework for a lot of
Gotcha.
my life, having to design and make clothes and be artistic. So yeah, that was the other activities I engaged in. And also, I was heavy into personal development. So I started like a personal development club where we read empowerment books and focused on mindset. And I started that probably my last year of like high school is when I got heavy into just mindset and what your goals and aspirations are. And the normal stuff like SGAs, and I was SGA president at BMCC, and I also did outside of SGA different student clubs and Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Of course, that's the most
We in the White House
important.
now. We in the White House now.
Yes, and I was going to ask you. You said your school that you went to was a fashion school. Did you get a chance to choose what high school you want to go to? Or that was just the only one that was like in your district?
No, I got to choose. So the good thing about New York is that you have all these vocational opportunities starting at ninth grade where you can go to different schools in different boroughs. So I had to audition and I had to like submit a whole portfolio. Where I think I still have that. That'd be funny if I do. But you had to create designs, and I submitted to that school. I submitted to Mary Bertram for business, and then no, that was only two. There's also another school called graphics that I could have submitted to. But you had the opportunity to like select a whole bunch of different high schools, and then put them on a list of like 10 or whatever, and your top 3. They'll let you know if you get accepted or not. And by the way, you got to accept, you choose which school you want to go to. So I chose fashion.
Got it. Okay.
But if I went to Bertram, I probably would have been in the league because Epiphany Prince played at Bertram and she had 100 points. And then Bertram became super popular. And yeah, that was the thing.
Okay. Got it. So when it came to college, did you have like a top 3 type of colleges that you had to choose from, or you already had your eyes set on a particular college?
No, I didn't have my eyes set on anything particular. I know that I wanted to play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I got accepted to St. John's University, and I was going to try to work onto their team. But then I got a call from a coach at a junior college, BMCC, and she said she could get me on a scholarship to a D1 school if I came and played junior college first. So that's why I ended up going to BMCC first. It wasn't academic reasons or anything like that. I had the grades. I got into every school that I applied to. But when I went there, I went there for basketball, and I tore my ACL.
That day that you tore your ACL, like, were you okay? At that moment when you.
So when I tore my ACL, man, I remember the game. I remember the time was my last season. And I went to go, like, I still played. Like, my coach let me play with a balloon knee. And I think I got through like maybe halfway through the first quarter. And the trainer, like, called the timeout. And I was limping finally up the court. And she was like, yeah, you can't play. She was like, you definitely tore something. My knee looked like a baby's face. Like, that's how big.
Wow. Wow. So because of that, did you feel like sometimes when you have your heart, I know when you have your heart set on something and you're like, okay, God, I'm doing pretty well, I'm going great. And then you have that minor hiccup. Did you feel yourself slipping into depression because of what happened and that you couldn't really play anymore at that time?
I think the first part of it wasn't really depression. It was just disappointment because that's all I really knew. I knew I was great at other things, but it was the only thing that felt right. Like basketball was the thing that I could do if things were going crazy at home or if I was upset. I could just grab a ball, go out to a court, shoot around, and it was just like my zen moment. And I guess I was good at drawing, making clothes, modeling, acting, all that stuff, but that was the only thing that kind of felt right. So disappointed, and I had to step back and look at everything and lost my opportunities for different D1 schools and only had an offer for a partial in Tennessee. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to some small school in Tennessee, Oklahoma.
Ah, okay.
well, I was Tennessee, but Oklahoma, and I went and visited. And the coach, it was like a small little Christian Catholic school, and I was just like, yeah, no, I'm not doing this. So I had to like sit back and reevaluate, and I think it happened for a reason, because that's what pushed me to get more into the public speaking space, pull out more creativity in myself. Then I went after being student government president, so then I got into politics a little bit.
Okay.
And it gave me the opportunity to see other things that I was great at. But I definitely got surgery, and now my next school, which was a D3 school, I played basketball again.
Got it. Did you want to try? What about going overseas? Did overseas ever come across your mind to try and do that so you can go actually play pro?
Yeah, it crossed my mind a few times, but I was very petrified with leaving. I didn't go to college away because I was afraid of being too far from my family. My family was like everything is super small, so I kind of was afraid to go far. Mm-hmm. So going to a country by myself and playing basketball. Now, I always visioned myself playing at Madison Square Garden for Liberty,
Gotcha.
Being close to home.
Got you. Okay. And yeah, I felt like you were like, I got that political, really good speech type vibe from you. Did you ever thought about, I could probably run for governor or mayor of whatever state that you were living in or so, or city or so?
Yes, and only recently. I mean, I'm not that girl, because I've done some crazy stuff in my life. And I don't want
of course
those smear campaigns. Like, I've done some photo shoots, and I don't want nobody to say anything crazy about me. But Atlanta, and just seeing how the city has had a history of Black mayors, female mayors. That's something that I'm not used to seeing coming from New York, and also being a big part of the push for all of the different elections that have happened since I've been here in 2019. I now see that that's something that could have definitely been a possibility for myself. And somebody actually like prophesized that on my life when I was like 19 in student government at BFCC. I was at the Black and Puerto Rican Caucus in Albany, New York, and one of the senators, a Black woman, she's a Delta, she called me in her office and she was like, you're super dope, you speak well, you have a great head on your shoulders, you're young, you should, be the change you want to see, she really get into politics. And it's important for, people like that, who I was at 19, to go that pathway, because you'll be the game changers that we need right now. Like, if I would have chose that path then, who I would have been now would have been someone that could be a changing and an overturning vote in the Senate, So I think about that, but now the person I am now, living the life I lived, and done the photo shoots I've done, and videos, and different music videos, and camping. Like, I've done so much acting and modeling stuff. I could doctor up my own smear campaign, and I'm not letting anybody else do that to me.
You should. You. Even though I know you're laughing, this is real. Like, you need to do it. Like, honestly, like, I feel like God just put that in your mind that's confirmation. Go after it. You already got everything. You got your publicist, you got the PR, you got everything. Like, you might as well go forth with it. So you did all the modeling, you did the radio. Did you do the radio when you were in college, or when did you like actually do like the on-air personality type thing?
I was a grown woman. I was a grown woman in New York City. This was only a couple of years ago. I would say a year before the year before the show filmed. So we filmed the show in 2017. So 2017, I was on air. Then when I came back from the show, I was on air for a little bit longer, until I parted ways to prep for my press runs and everything that I needed to do for the show coming out on television. So.
Got it. What made you say, okay, I really want to do on-air personality, or did it just come to you now, or just came out of like nowhere?
Man, that was just my hustle. I used to host everything, and people would give me like little checks. Like in college, I would host all the little shows, pageants, competitions, step shows, Greek nights. Like I hosted everything, and people would have a budget because campuses have budgets. No pay me like $100 some here. It was like my little hustle, and then it became more than that. It became people outside of colleges trying to book me for different things, and they having $1,000 budgets for an MC, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do this, and that trickled into just doing podcasting. When podcasting first started, I was in podcasting, and then people listening to my podcast, and they're like, oh, you're steady. You can be steady. It's about being able to, be impromptu and roll with the punches and be able to talk to people, and also with the radio, not curse. So often people, it's difficult for them to do these things, and I was able to do that. So I got picked up from them listening and watching my podcast.
Yeah, you don't seem like, you seem like the type of person where you only use profanity if and only if, like, you might be startled or extremely angry. You don't seem like you wake up in the morning and be like, hey, how the F are you? You don't seem like that type of person.
It's called good media training.
That's it. And that's very important. That's actually very important. With modeling, did that just kind of come out of the blue as well for you? Or was it like, oh, well, I'm a good height, might as well go for it?
No, it was more so something that my mom did when she was younger. And it was kind of like going into modeling was like an ode to her because it was her dream. She really loved it. But when she was growing up, now there was creeps when I was growing up, but when she was growing up in the 80s and the 70s, going on auditions in these decrepit buildings with weird men and stuff, like it was just a very different industry when she was in it, and she just left it totally alone. But me, I was like, well, there's a little bit more stability now and checks and balances in the industry. Granted, it was still, when I started, it was definitely a straight hair thing. Like I wouldn't even be able to audition with faux locks or afro when I started. No tattoos. I used to have to wear tattoo makeup to cover up my tattoos. So it was still a little strict, but it wasn't as creepy as it was for my mom. But I used that as an ode to her. Like, okay, well, you wanted to do this, you didn't get to do it, I'll do it for you.
Got it. Okay. Well, that actually is good. So kind of see the same thing, like, resemblance. Okay. Mom and dad, they kind of there was some influence there that got you to where you are. As far as with you moving to Atlanta, was that because of the show, or you just wanted to get a fresh start out of New York?
Oh no, I would have never left New York. I love my city. I think great my city is gone right now because of COVID and quarantine, but I would have never left New York if you ever asked me to. It was just home. The show, I was told after I won, like after it aired and I won, I got a phone call the next day and it was like, there's a job for you, but it's in Atlanta. And I was like, okay.
Got it.
I'll take it.
And
it's hard. I thought it was going to be one of those shows where they just give you a check and call it a day, but it's like, no, there's a job and you work for your money, but it's in Atlanta. And I was like, okay.
And did you how did you end up hearing about it? Was it like off of Indeed, where you just online one day, like, sometimes you just scroll on in the middle of the night, like randomly, if your insomnia kicks in? Like, how did you end up hearing about the show to audition?
Well, people kind of just hit me up. Like, one, I seen it on my different casting billboards that I was signed up to, different casting boards, but people were sending it to me because in New York, I was known as not only an entertainer and in the industry, I was a hustler. I was coordinating events. I was working with different liquor brands. I was that like serial entrepreneur before it became a word. So people, when they saw that audition, that know me, they sent it to me. On top of, I used to always say, I wish I knew about I want to work for Diddy because I would have won. I always said that. And my homeboy actually won that show. So when the opportunity came about, I applied. It was like essay questions, and I was answering them, and I hate writing essays, and I answered them. And it was very, very, very intense audition process.
Really? The things that they don't show you on television. God, I didn't know if you had to, like, some TV, like when you're trying to audition for something, they make you send like a video in of yourself talking and stuff, but I didn't know like how the process goes. Did you actually get a chance to meet not the entire cast of what we saw on television, but more so, let's say it's 100 different contenders or so. Did you get a chance to meet everyone who tried to audition?
Oh no! But when I got on the show, my messages, so many people that I was like, I audition for that show. Like they all hit me up. One girl told me she saw me in the hotel. So like the last stage, we were like all in Atlanta before we went to the house. We were in a hotel, but we were sequestered to our rooms and we couldn't see anybody. We couldn't have our phone. And one girl, they kind of messed up. I had like walked out to go to the gym. They were escorting me to the gym because I was always working out, and she was leaving. Like I guess she got cut at the same time, and then like she like hit me like, I saw you in the hallway that day. I'm so happy you won. I just like, what? That's so random. But it's not like America's Next Top Model, which I was on those lines. I've camped out before for those two. So.
Oh, and I thought about that. I'm like, how far did you like? So okay, America's Next Top Model. You camped out. Was it more so? Did you have to do something crazy for them to say, "Hey, let's pick her," or was it just more so luck of the draw, like for you to end up?
Luck of the draw. I think I've only made it to like round 2 or 3 of cuts with Top Model. They were very, very, very interesting. In New York, it was so many people. So then one time I drove out to like Cherry Hill, which is right next to Philly, and it wasn't that many people. And I think that's the only time I made it to like a further round where they kept me. But it was just so luck of the draw. You couldn't even speak. Like you just had a sign, and they just looked through the room. It wasn't just. It was weird. I think I might have spoke one time, like was saying my name. That was about it.
Okay, yeah. So it just depends on maybe a certain look, a certain vibe type of, but and maybe it's a good thing. Like I said, everything works out in its power, because had you been on, America's Next Top Model, and probably, I don't know, like who knows what would have happened. You probably would not have gone as far, but because you went a different route and you did really well with the essays and everything else, now you are this entrepreneur. That's what I call it. That you are now. Knowing me, we're going to probably be here till 6 o'clock the next morning. So I wanted to ask you a couple more things, and we're going to do a fast between 5 to 10 questions, random questions that you can just answer. It's going to be fun, and then we can skedaddle. Okay. Currently and in the future, what's something that the audience can look forward to, your fans, anything that you have out there? Are you going to be starring in any movies, like, or anything else like that? What are you doing present day and in the future?
Present day, future, TV film wise, definitely something in the works. So you guys can look forward to that. Something really dope.
Is it going to be like on Netflix, Hulu, in the theaters?
You'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, you have it there. Okay, so let's go ahead. Wait. In case you have some men out there, because I know your DMs. My DMs ain't dry. They always. I get men in Nigeria be trying to be with me. Be my African queen, sir. Go away. All right. So, what? Are you dating right now? Or are you just solo dolo, or how's the, just in case you have people out there who are interested?
I mean, it's hard to date during COVID, but I'm pretty much just focused on getting out a few of these businesses that I've started and work. But if someone is okay with dating someone that's not going to always text back the same day, then that's fine. Holla at me. But I was trying to talk to someone recently, and they mad. Because I'm like, I'm sorry. They like, I texted you 3 days ago. You just responding. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going towards the bag right now.
Got it. And they have to be okay with that. I think if you got too much free time on your hands, it's not a good thing. Like, what do you want? Do you want me to be busy, or you want me to just be by your bedside? That's going to get boring. Like, because I'm like, what can we talk about? And it's not on purpose. You will try to get back to them unless the conversation is dead. So yes. Okay. Well, if you want to describe, and I always say, whenever it comes to me, describing my ideal mate, I don't tell everybody everything, because what I realize is guys will try to pretend to be that person that you want them to be, and then you fall in love with them, and then the true colors come out. Ladies, do not do that, okay? Or anybody, period, will try to do that. Not just guys, women as well. So just describe a few characteristics of the type of man that you want your husband. Let's talk about that. Let's do husband. The husband that you want God to send you. Just give us like 3 to 5 characteristics that you really look for.
Of course. One being athletic.
Okay.
Athlete in my life. 2, personality.
Okay.
You have to be funny and have to be able to take a joke. Like, I can't do that. Another characteristic would be entrepreneur mindset. So not just someone that's cool with just being mediocre, but wants better. And I believe in generational wealth. I would also say, of course, God-fearing would be awesome.
Of course. Most important.
And last but not least, for number 5, I would prefer someone who believes in just gender equality. I don't really want it to be a one-sided relationship. I don't plan to be someone's girl that's just wanting everything from them. I want someone that wants to build and grow with me, and we can work together on things. Every day doesn't have to be you taking care of it, that type of scenario.
That's I never thought about that. That's actually good. What's an automatic, like 3 to 5 deal breakers that's like, it doesn't matter if y'all been in a relationship for a while, it's just you don't tolerate it, like you don't have time for it? What's a deal breaker for you in the dating phase and stuff?
Yeah. Cigarette smoking.
Yes.
If you have kids and you're not a good father, that's a deal breaker. I would say laziness is also a deal breaker. Can't be with someone that's lazy. Extremely dirty. Like, not messy, but dirty. Messy and dirty are 2 different things, people. If you're dirty, I don't like it. That's a deal breaker. And the last deal breaker I'll say is someone that, like, a male chauvinist. Like, someone that's just always about, like, a narcissistic type of person it's just about themselves, and they don't care about the world, or they just about money and they don't care about helping others, and lack passion and just care about only themselves, or I'm in and I run the world type of thing. Don't like that.
Got it. I love how you said, and does Black and Milds count as a cigarette? Does that count on the list as well?
You know what's crazy? One of my exes started getting to Black and Milds, and I was like, that's technically still a cigarette. It's like 5 of them.
Exactly. Yep. It is.
I don't sneeze when I'm around those. I sneeze a lot when I'm around cigarettes, and I don't want to sneeze during COVID. So please,
Of course. All right. Well, you all hear it here, okay? And she's well seasoned, and she knows like when she can smell some BS and everything else. All right. So let's go ahead and get into the fast between 5 to 10 question game, and then we can get out of here. All right. Question number 1. What is your favorite go-to meal to make? Like, everyone loves it. People are like, Krystal, please make it for me. Yes.
Please make us some collard greens and big macaroni and cheese.
That's it. That's the go-to. That's always your specialty.
That's what everybody always wants you to bring to everybody's potluck dinner.
Got you. Okay. All right. Number 2, what is a good-ass day for you? Like a really, really great day, a perfect day for you. You can start at nighttime. It can start in the day, in the morning, like whenever. What is the amazing day for you?
Amazing day for me is waking up, praying, listening to the news, listening to the gospel as I get ready, going to the gym, playing some basketball, getting my whole to-do list completed, come back home, kick back, relax on FaceTime with somebody, and watching something on TV, at least getting one episode of a show out because I don't get to watch TV often, and going to sleep with my humidifier and some, positive, different affirmations that I might say.
Okay, that's good. 3. The third one is, and And again, guys, this is just her opinion, okay? Because I have my opinions as well. The third question is, give me a black film or TV show that you don't really care for that's pretty popular in our community. And it's no judgment, because I got 10 of them on myself.
All the reality TV shows. I was on a competition show, guys. There's a difference. So all reality TV shows.
Got you. But you don't have any movies out there that was a black film that you just said just throw the film away that you just didn't care for?
No, not that I could think of. But reality, but not even. Okay, let me rephrase my reality show thing. The ratchet reality shows, not the positive ones. Not like, any positive ones I'm cool with, but the negative ones.
The negative, where they always throwing water. Just. I'm like, wow, that's some good water skills. They teach you that in before you guys say action. I love it. Okay, good. What is the best birthday you've had thus far, and what happened that day?
The best birthday I had was the last birthday I had with my grandma. What happened was we had my favorite cake, strawberry shortcake. I still have the picture. Strawberry shortcake. My mom made me crab legs and oxtails. So it sounds crazy, but it was just small. My family there. We were chilling in my apartment. My mom's apartment. I'm gonna say my apartment. I'm from New York. I was in my mom's apartment, and it was just like the last one we had my grandma. But it was just very intimate. It was my family, and we had my favorite things: strawberry shortcake, crab legs, and oxtails.
All right. Who was your very first celebrity crush, or the longest? You mentioned Carmelo Anthony, but before Carmelo, did you have a crush on any other person out there?
I don't think so, but maybe possibly Will Smith.
Of course.
I think I just always admired him. I've never had a thought of dating him or anything, but I've always super admired him. And when people ask what's the perfect guy and I have to combine people, Will Smith is always in the recipe. So I would say Will Smith.
Okay. All right. What is your all-time favorite basketball film?
Love and Basketball is tatted on my arm, left arm, right next to my heart.
Have you got a chance to meet Omar Epps or Sanaa Lathan before?
No, ironically. I have not met either of them yet, but it will happen.
It will happen. They're going to pop up at the Trap Museum. They're going to pop up.
That's what happened with Mario. Mario pulled up. I was like, this is Mario. You know who you are.
So wait, would you say that you still get a little starstruck when you see certain people that you saw on television or grew up listening to? Would you say that you get a little starstruck still, or you don't get a starstruck at all?
Not yes and no. I think I get a little bit more nervous in the sense of I normally have to do the tour of the celebrities, so I have to be able to articulate and be professional and make sure they enjoy themselves and still keep my personality in it. And that's different too, because it's like when we toured Tashina Arnold, I wanted to be like, "Hey Pam," I want to do stuff like that.
Of course.
So I just. It's hard. I wanted to sing Mario songs. Like in my head, I'm like singing Mario songs as I'm like trying to tell him, and this is why we have this area of music.
Of course. Well, all right. Oh, wait. Lastly, give me your top 3 or 5 favorite Bible scriptures and give me a favorite Bible story.
Favorite Bible scriptures. Well, I could do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Mm-hmm. Of course, Philippians is a popular one, but I mean that was something that got me through. Psalms 121. That was one of the songs that we sing often in church that really I could sing whenever I was like a little down. I think that's probably about it. My favorite Bible story. I think there was one about Ruth that I really liked, and I feel like every woman's history. We've always talked about Ruth, but I think there was one about Ruth that I really liked. I can't think right now. Yeah.
Well, all right. Go ahead. Thank you so much for this interview. One thing I try to do is I try to start from the beginning. Everybody wants to start from the present, but we're like, no. Who was KG before she became who she is? We got to start from the beginning. So go ahead. Please shout out all of your social media, everything, whatever. Just shout it all out. Just go ahead and gloat on yourself. Go ahead.
Awesome sauce. Well, it's your girl KG. You can follow me at Krystal Garner, KrystalGarner, and as in Nancy ER. And because Reagan, my publicist, is so amazing, that is consistent across the board. So whether you're looking for me on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, it's the same.
Well, all right. Well, you guys have heard it here first. Please support her. If you see her in the street, you can say, hey, but don't be running up to her and try to bombard her. Like, wait. Last quick question. Have you had a crazy fan experience yet? Or you have been fortunate where people ain't coming up to you, running up to you and whatever?
No, I have had some. It was in the beginning, I had a few. And it's like weird sometimes when people just come and just grab you for a picture and just start talking to you for like an hour. It's like, what are you supposed to do? But I would say the weirdest one was when I was in IKEA, because I was literally just there trying to like buy stuff for my new apartment, and it's like, it's IKEA, so it's not expensive. And then they're looking at me like somebody was staring at me. I'm like, why are they staring at me? Like, you're the girl that won the show, right? To make six figures, and I'm just saying, yep. And I'm in IKEA.
Oh, so basically, what people think, and you know what's so crazy? I was looking at Fat Joe was talking about top 10 like things, I guess, like that. It's one of those segments on YouTube where it says they poll different people who are like, you know, they can't live without, top 10 things they can't live without. And he was talking about how he goes to a restaurant and people look at him like, bro, you're Fat Joe. Why aren't you tipping me $1,000? He's like, bro, like, come on now. You know.
First of all, we got to try to keep our money a little bit. You don't need to spend all of it. I don't need to be at the most high-end furniture store. I can make some stuff look great on a budget.
Of course. A lot of people don't understand that. And on top of that, sometimes I think what a lot of folks don't understand as well, some of these designer clothings aren't even or designer things aren't even attractive. Like, y'all are wearing these $1,000 shoes and it looks bad. So, I mean, it's okay. Yeah. They're gonna realize it one day. But all right. Well, thank you again for this great interview. And make sure you guys please support, subscribe. Do not jump in her DM asking her for money because she ain't got it for you. Okay. All right. Do not try to sit here and you know, spam her account with something just crazy. Don't do that. Treat her like a regular person, because at the end of the day, she still is. And don't try to come at her crazy. You don't know how she might react, okay? And if she tries to, y'all try her, then guess what? I'm right there. I'm going to be the secret bodyguard. All right. Well, you've heard it here first. This is Kendra Crump signing out.